Yo, my YouTubers, what's going on? Hope you're having a kick-ass day and succeeding in day-to-day goals and kicking ass. This segment, I'm going to try and explain to you on why I think who shot JFK in the previous video. Alright, moving along. You've all heard of the three-piece bullet theory? It's crap, it's not real, it's not this, it's not that, blah blah blah. It's actually very significant to the case on who shot JFK. Very important, keep that in mind. Now, the book depository is also vital in importance to Lee Harvey Oswald's whereabouts on that day, which he was at the book depository. Now, for all those of you that don't know, the book depository is actually still running today, and I believe the family has bought books from there in the past and is doing very successful and very well. Getting back to the shootings of who shot JFK, let's take back to where it all began. It was in Dallas, Texas. The plane had landed. JFK's walked out from the plane. Now, keeping in mind that the viewers and the people were not just outside the book depository, they were outside the plane, going from all the way to the plane to the conference which JFK was going to. Keep in mind too that JFK was only in Parliament for 2 years before his assassination. The CIA wanted him dead, the FBI wanted him alive, which in the end we all know the CFA won. The special black ops at the time, they were supposed to be guarding the book depository when they were around there. They were actually 90 miles feet up in the air, and no one still knows on why today that they were 90 feet up in the air once JFK had landed at the airport. You can actually see in one of the documentaries that the plane taking off with the CIA, not the CIA, the Black Ops were in. Very important. So the Black Ops are up in the air whilst all this is happening along the ground. Now, very sus, very strange indeed. Moving along. Now we get up to the fun part. Lee Harvey Oswald was at the book depository when JFK was coming through. Now, there's been many claims of why wasn't the shot being taken from the left-hand side, which it would have made a lot more sense, and not from the right-hand side. The deciduous tree that you see in that would have actually been in fire, which his line of sight would have been in fire. Did Lee Harvey Oswald shoot JFK? The answer to that question is yes he did. He actually shot JFK, but it didn't actually kill JFK, it just wounded him in the back, and he would have probably died from severe bleeding nonetheless. The gun that was fired, I believe, was a 65mm rifle. Well, it wasn't even a sniper, so that's why there's a lot of speculations to say, well, why wasn't it a sniper? Why was it a rifle and not a sniper to begin with at the first place? These are all relevant questions to why it happened. The answer to that was it needed, or how can a rifle fire that far in various bits and pieces, and that's very important. How can a rifle fire that far when it could have perhaps only caused minor injuries? Now, a lot of things don't make up on that day. I'm talking about why weren't there any lingering footprints taken where people stand? Why aren't there documentations of where people's whereabouts and people's movements were? Why weren't the CIA, FBI communicating between each other at the time of the shooting of JFK? Why was it that JFK was the only one that died? Why wasn't a wife at target at the time? Where was the father of JFK? Where was the mother of JFK? Did they actually knew that this shooting was going to take place before it actually occurred? Why did JFK's brother die shortly after JFK did in the plane crash? Why did JFK's brother want to run for president? Did he have no choice but to apply to run for president? Or will there be a target on his head by the CIA agents? I mean, these are all rather than questions. Was there a target on JFK's assassination by the CIA before the assassination took place when JFK was outside? These are all questions that need to be answered. James Foster, did he shoot JFK? No, he didn't. As much as he likes to think that he did, and all the help that he's given the FBI over the years in the assassination, he didn't actually kill JFK. He may have let a couple of 2 bite footmarks in the bullets and were left there on the side of the fence, but he did not actually shoot JFK. So, if it was a sniper from the book depository, then yes, I would have agreed with them that it was Lee Harvey Oswald, but seeing it was only a rifle and he was an inexperienced shooter, do I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald did it? I believe he fired a shot, but it only injured him and not killed him. I said in the other document video on who I think the person was that actually shot JFK. Pretty obvious that it was someone in the car at the time, but I'm not saying any more than that. The reason why I think it was one of the persons in the car, because there was no surprise on their actual face once JFK got shot, and their facial expression was a dead giveaway on what had actually occurred. I looked at the face and not the body parts, and there was a lot of cover-up from cover-up of the evidence that was there, meaning that it was hard for him to do an autopsy because there was just so much hand on another blood and various bits and pieces like that, and they may even like to do another autopsy again just to give me more clues to the FBI agents so they can put my theory to the test and for JFK to move on from this world. Now, another interesting thing is you'll find out about this film is that Abraham Lincoln and JFK both had exactly the same numbers. So if you're an FBI agent, you might have to go back over Abraham Lincoln's life to determine what happened in JFK's life, and there'll be clues that were in Abraham Lincoln's life and JFK, so it's almost like a reincarnation, boom, boom. So it might even happen again to the American president into the near future. It may not be Donald Trump, it may be another president that we just don't know about in a couple of years' time. I know that there's going to be a female president that is going to come forward and take over the leadership, so be very mindful and be very careful of that. So these are all just little hints I'm giving out too. Why the people in Hollywood that knew about JFK's death, why the singers that knew about JFK's death, most definitely in the singing department they knew about JFK's death. There's one singer out there that's very well known, I won't say his name, but he's actually got a bad reputation for what he did in his social life, so the FBI have to look into his case files as well to see if there's a link between him and what actually happened on the day. Number one greatest hits, very well known, and he sang a song. That's all I'll say. Anywho, so the FBI agents, if they're watching this, they can pinpoint very easily on who I think that's done, who I think that's involved, and thingos. Why wasn't the father of JFK at the conference at the time when Kennedy was assassinated? These are all questions that need to be answered. That prostitute that was killed on the side of the side of the road, that was actually JFK's twin flame. That's the significance of that case there. Without them even knowing about that at the time, so that's very, very relevant to that case. So yeah. Anything else? Now, how many shots did Ray Harvey Oswald fire? The answer to that question is 1. I don't believe he fired 2, but somebody may like to prove me wrong on that. I believe he only fired 1 shot and 1 shot only. Then he got arrested a short time after that before he could even leave the book depository. So, yeah. So that's another thing I kind of wanted to point out. Just reading some dummy notes. Another interesting fact is Kennedy was the youngest president at the time when he was assassinated, so that's another thing that the American governments need to keep an eye out for future presidents in time to come. So, yeah, that's just a learning curve. Yeah, Kennedy was actually off to the Trademark Centre at the time. That's where he landed from the when the plane landed, and he went through all the crowds that were millions into the thousands. He left from Houston, from the airport to the X-ray marks in it. That's where he was going, but he didn't get there because he was assassinated in between time. One bullet shot by Lee Harvey Oswald and the other one, there were 2 bullets being fired by 2 separate people. That's my gut feeling, that's what I feel, and it wasn't James Foster that fired the other bullet, so it was someone that was in the car at the time. That's another thing that I'm thinking too, that they might have just gone over to some diagnosis, because this conversation's really deep. They might have to do another autopsy again on who shot JFK. I got another gut feeling that they will have to do that. So after, if somebody's listened to this video and here's what I had to say, they will have to do another autopsy on that video, and they might actually find more things now than they did back then, especially with technology getting better and people becoming more skillful, and the work not being so sloppy, and they'll find more evidence. There might be another bullet in there, or some glass or something, so just keep a careful out. Be careful on I hope they are careful when they do the autopsy, because so be careful if they. It'll be interesting to see if I'm right, to see if there's another bullet inside the body of JFK once they do another autopsy. That's just a feeling that I'll get. And I feel too that there might have to be another reenactment of who shot JFK at the time, just so the FBI can get a better perspective of what actually occurred on that fateful day on who shot JFK as well, because there might be some clues in that, because I can't understand why there weren't any photos taken of the overall surrounds at the time of the shooting, rather than just the basic shots that you see on TV. And not only that too, with the photo work itself, I'd like a couple of FBI agents to look into the photos to see if there's a split between the two actual photo shots itself, meaning that one shot was taken on one and they replaced one shot on top of the photo. They might be able to remove that other split and reveal new evidence that didn't actually came up before. So maybe one of the FBI agents could do that as well, and just basically going over some basic groundwork like fingerprints, DNA, or where was JFK before the assassination took place? Where was JFK going after the assassination took place? Who was in JFK's life before the assassination happened? Who was in JFK's life after the assassination happened? So it's all those things that they need to look at and put all the clues together, and then they can worry about on who actually shot JFK at the time, which I've already told you in that previous video on who I think that's done it. So if you like to look back on that video, I think it was definitely someone in that car on who shot JFK, and it'll only be a matter of time before they get put into justice, and justice will be served for JFK and that family. Not only that too, when the JFKs were in the lighthouse, they used the word letter L, and guess what the letter L stands for? Lincoln. So that was their password that they used with their time in the White House. So in rounding up this video, I do believe it was somebody that else that shot JFK as well as Lee Harvey Oswald. I believe that he or she may be in the car at the time of the assassination. So I believe that his killer will be brought to justice in time. So without that further ado, we know who shot JFK. Front seat, back seat, I want to see front seat, back seat. So, without that further said, I hope somebody takes this video on board and takes it seriously, and that's my conclusion on who shot JFK. It was somebody in the car. It may have been a female or it may have been a male. Without that further ado, I'm going to close this case shut, and hopefully this helps JFK out in the long run, and I hope all you viewers have a kick-ass week and a kick-ass year. If people want to get in contact me on who really shot at JFK, just go to my YouTube channel or watch the description below. And not only that, let me know in the comments below on who you thought that shot JFK, and I'm sure you'll feel the same way. It was definitely someone in the same car as JFK. Was it in the front seat or was it in the back seat? I know, but I really can't say because it will be interrogating police in their investigation. But I got a, let's just say I got a gut feeling that I know who shot JFK, and I got a lot of gut feeling that other people do, and I'm hoping that killer gets brought into justice. So, and not only that too, if I was a couple, I would have arrested them. And not only that too, there was a whole heap of alien, just before I go, there was a whole heap of alien stuff that sort of went on in the JFK shootings as well, without even people knowing about it. So maybe that they have to look at the alien side perspective too, like how is that day was just so massively impacted on all over the world. There was a lot of aliens and things involved too. So without that further ado, that's another angle, and that's another story for a later day. So in saying that, that's who I feel that shot JFK, but there was a lot of aliens and things involved in that on that fatal day. There's even a time traveler involved in that day too. So there just are little bits and pieces with that set in mind, and peace.